We all know when you throw a rock into the water, it creates ripples that move away from where it landed. But being distracted by those ripples, sometimes we forget that the water close to the surface rushes back to fill in the space that it left behind. So, what exactly does this have to do with retailing within the functional CPG categories, especially active nutrition? So, for me to explain this analogy a little bit, I think it's important for us to kind of set what's been happening over the last about decade within the active nutrition category of functional CPG. So, if we take a snapshot of the four biggest pure play nutritional supplements, sports nutrition, active nutrition, functional CPG, specialty retailers, these were names like GNC, The Vitamin Shop, bodybuilding.com, and Vitamin World. So is there a key similarity between them? Obviously, if we're looking at this from a hindsight 2020 perspective, these retailing names have obviously struggled immensely in the market to, at the least, sustain relevancy and business continuity issues at worst. So just to kind of run down these four names, if you're not all that familiar about what's been happening over the last decade or so, Vitamin World, at its peak in the 2010s, it had 450 locations. It was sold by the longtime owner NBTY to a private equity firm in 2016. That private equity firm filed Chapter 11 in September of 2017, and it's now owned by a Chinese dairy conglomerate and now only operates around 65 locations. So it's a shell of what it used to be. We move this into bodybuilding.com. At its peak in the 2010s, it had revenue of somewhere around $500 million. During the decade, it was passed from its owner, Liberty Media, to Expedia Group, and now to private equity. And now the revenue base is somewhere around $150 million. The Vitamin Shop arguably has fared the best over the last 10 years. And at the peak of the 2010s, they had a little over 900 locations and did just around $1.3 billion in revenue. Late last year, it was acquired by the franchise group, and the Vitamin Shop announced that they would close somewhere around 5% of their store fleet and now operates somewhere around 720 locations and is on track in 2020 for about $1 billion in revenue. And then GNC, the largest specialty retailer in these categories, at its peak in the 2010s, it had around 9,100 global locations and had revenues of around $2.7 billion. Over the last about a year and a half, they've announced several rounds of store closures and just had continuously kind of sliding revenue. They announced officially in late June of 2020 that they were going to voluntarily filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they currently now operate around 6,700 global locations and is on track for about $1.4 billion in revenue this year. Now, if you look at the top four specialty retailers in the category, pure play retailers, you would kind of think to yourself, wow, obviously the category as a whole is struggling, but that's not the case. If you look at just the compounded annual growth rate over the last decade, it's continuously been in the high single digits. So what is happening here? Like, where is the buying power going? And I took this slide from a presentation that Dan Larenko, the co-founder and CEO of Ghost Lifestyle, and I have put together and talked about in a few of our presentations at Supply Side West. And we call this the Walmazon effect. Now, in reality, the Walmazon effect is actually a little bit more broad than that. You could break down the shifts in categorical consumer spending and the new dollars that are coming into the category into three buckets. The hardest one to kind of pinpoint exactly how many dollars are flowing into is through direct-to-consumer products and brands within the vitamins, minerals, supplements, active nutrition, sports nutrition, functional CPG categories. And This is the death by a thousand cuts kind of effect. You have so many small players that are kind of taking their little shares, and though as an aggregate, they are making huge impacts, each one at times, a million here, a million there, really goes unnoticed. And a lot of this is happening with entrepreneurs or businesses that are extremely good at pulling one of the demand levers like affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, or paid social media marketing, and they're really like kind of in the shadows. You don't really know a lot of these names. I've come across a few that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars, but if you would ask a industry insider about this brand, if they know this brand, they would probably have total blank stares. Now, another bucket, and arguably probably one of the easiest ones to spot, is Amazon. That is the one that everybody goes to and says they're the reason why all these other retailers are struggling. And a lot of that is definitely true, but it's not the whole story. And the third bucket is this mass retailing and Walmazon with Walmart, and I also include Target into this. Now, I know mass retailing can be rolled up into a bigger discussion around the merchandising growth of all large retail channels like grocery stores, convenience stores, wholesale clubs, drug stores. But I'm gonna save those probably for their own videos because there are nuances to each one of those large retail channels in terms of how they are approaching the functional CPG category. According to Tabs Analytics, which is a sales and marketing CPG firm, they've noted that Walmart, Target, and Amazon are the three biggest beneficiaries in terms of total gained category buyer counts. And this is really a decades-long growth story for Walmart and Target in terms of like mass retailing, as they've slowly increased their merchandising in their active nutrition sections. But like anything that happens slowly over time, if you're not looking at it through the right time frame in terms of your analysis, you might not notice how truly disruptive it has been. Over the last 10 years, specialty retailers within the category are no longer the only game in town. And I've made continuous comments on my channel, on content that I've produced across all of my social media about Walmart specifically being the largest supplement retailer and how sports nutrition brand owners have been ignorant to just like the evolving merchandising in this retailer for years. And I'll pop up a video here that I did in May of last year to give you a little bit of an example of what I'm talking about. But the amount of your crazy commentary that I heard from the sports nutrition industry over these last several years because of this commentary around specifically Walmart would give a guy a complex. But honestly, the writing was on the wall for anybody that was paying close enough attention. But all it took was one big rock to crash into the water for everybody to start taking a lot closer of a notice. And this rock is essentially the GNC bankruptcy, but propelled at a much faster pace because of the COVID-19 effect. Now, if you are a decision maker and you're seeing the convergences that are happening here, what exactly would you do? First, the largest specialty retailer in the category is closing around 1,500 of their locations in the United States. This merchandising category of the specialty retailer is one that has been a great growth engine for your retailer over the last 10 years. Now, the COVID-19 shopping behavior has created a ton of attention and value towards omni-channel because of the convenience and safety aspects of that way of shopping. Also, the COVID-19 shopping behavior shows us that consumers are making less frequent total shopping trips, but with a higher total cart size. You start to put a lot of those trends together and you start really kind of forming a pretty strong opinion on where you would go if you were a leader of a mass retailer. I want you to take a quick listen to an excerpt from a Two Guys, One Shaker Cup podcast between myself and Aaron around Walmart and some of the evolving merchandising trends that are going to be happening there very soon.
Ultimately, we're not going to change the way we do business for a retailer. Even I don't know if I've even talked about it yet, but we'll be in Walmart in October on the shelves of Walmart. And I wouldn't change. When we met with Walmart, we went to Bentonville. it was a weird meeting because I was really worried that they were going to say, hey, we can't take Total War, for example, as is. It needs to be a cheaper formula, or it needs to be something, something different. And I would have said no. And I was very happy and relieved that they believe Walmart's ready for a premium brand that doesn't have to lower the price. You don't have to change the formula. You don't have to alter anything about it. Because I think that even with the Walmart, it would have been really tough to water down the products, because that would change what the brand's even about. But yeah, so even with the Walmart, we were prepared to say no and walk away if it didn't fit with the rest of the business.
Yeah, the Walmart, I guess just food, drug, mass, convenience, I think is adapting and just evolving, especially when they kind of smell blood in the water with GNC and Vitamin Shop, with the weakness in that, and saying, hey, there's a lot of consumers that are looking to purchase products in different channels. We now need to offer merchandising that matches the expectation of the consumer. It can no longer be like this watered down effect. And I think that you guys are going to really spearhead that in Walmart. I think that's going to bring that category of merchandising to be much stronger. And then I think overall, it just matures our industry even further. For us to be in those stores and also make an impact in those stores would be huge, and not having to complicate your business even further by creating one-off SKUs and not being able then to liquidate those SKUs after things happen. It helps you then in your business be able to support it much easier.
Let's go back to Walmart for a second. I find this super interesting because many brands, Iovate, for instance, creates a separate line, right, for Walmart. Kind of, we talked about that. Or Pro Subs create a separate formula. You guys are not. And that's not, I guess that hasn't been the popular choice in the past. And you guys are able to go into Walmart with the Total War formula that we see today. If you were not a $100 million brand prior to Walmart, how big is that deal for you guys in your future?
Pretty big, I think. Pretty big. I mean, Walmart is a huge player, obviously, but also I think you're getting in front of a lot more people. That's the big thing. Getting in front of a ton more people. You have the ability to scale quickly. I think Walmart, as Josh mentioned, people are honestly kind of channel agnostic now. They're going to buy wherever it's easiest for them, and so a lot of people probably these days want to stop as few places as possible as well. So you walk into Walmart to buy your groceries, being there at Walmart where somebody is buying their groceries or vacuum cleaner or whatever, to have the product there in front of them, I think is a really, really big deal. And I think back in the day, if you would have asked me when Redcon 1 started, do I foresee Redcon 1 to be in Walmart, I would have told you definitely not. Because I would think in my head, like, that means you're not cool. Like, that's not a cool move. But I think that that things are really, truly changing at this point. And that I think that while Walmart still might not be cool, I think that more and more brands are going to as we do well, knock on wood, as we do very well there, I think more and more people are going to pursue that, and I know that they are pursuing it. I mean, that is one of the biggest growth portions of the Walmart business. The guy that we deal with over there, his name is Matt Musgrave, is like a stud over there, because he's one of the only departments, right, that has significant, like, double-digit growth. That doesn't really happen at Walmart anymore. So I know when the people over there look at him like he's the rock star, because he created significant growth, and I think it'll continue to grow. I think that they'll refocus, because the GNCs of the world, unfortunately, things aren't looking as bright.
As you can tell from that Two Guys One Shaker Cup podcast segment, Walmart specifically and Target, I know for sure, smells blood in the water. You have consumers that are already turning to them in waves over the last 6 or so months for more of their shopping needs. These consumers are eventually going to seek kind of an evolution in the category. They're going to be looking for things that maybe aren't entry or trade down. Because of the store closures on the specialty retailer side, there's less specialty retailers as a whole for consumers. And growth of sales within an expanded merchandising sets over the last 10 years is giving you a ton of confidence to expand it further, to broaden it across a larger spectrum of consumer interests. If you spend any time in a Target or a Walmart's active nutrition section, you can already tell that they're inching towards a more attractive merchandising mix within their active nutrition section for consumers across a wide spectrum of wants and needs. I can also confirm that both of these merchandising teams are looking at the active nutrition category as a way to gain incremental customers, incremental dollars. And as Aaron added extra validity to that statement, Redcon One, the fastest growing large sports nutrition brand in the industry, has been asked by Walmart to come in to their stores, not change up their SKUs, not change up any variants at the price point that is competitive across all of their other sales channels. And what that means is these mass retailers want to have more than just the entry level consumers. They want a bigger piece of the whole category. So the question now is, does being considered a Walmart or a Target supplement brand still have the same negative, but quite honestly always misplaced connotation in 2020 that it had maybe 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.